Good morning and welcome to First Presbyterian Church of Ridgewood, New Jersey's Sunday morning pre-worship moments, a worship and arts experience featuring 2 musical offerings, expressions of faith through stained glass, and history of our church. This morning's first musical offering is How Lovely Are the Messengers. And if you look in the front row on the left, in between Jan Cross and Carol Schmiedick, you'll see Laura Fleming singing in the choir. This morning's expressions of faith through stained glass feature the doors to the north transept. This is part of the Carson Memorial dedicated in 1950. The medallions in the doors represent the life of Saul and Paul. In the window of Saul, above his head is the 6-pointed Star of David, not shown here, and in the lower part is the scroll of the ancient scriptures. The other panel portrays Paul the Apostle. Above his head are the symbols, the anchor, whose stock and shank form a cross, superimposed by a heart, the message of faith, hope, and love, and beneath him is the open Bible and the naked sword. This morning's First Press history will take us back to 1899, before we were considered Presbyterians. It also involves a Supreme Court case, which seems very fitting to share this week as we watch the federal Supreme Court nominee hearings. While rummaging through the library this week, I found a paper-covered hardbound book which read, Record of Court Proceedings, True Reformed Church of Paramus versus Harvey Eiserman, November 1899. Having a document this old piqued my interest, and I opened the book to find a record of a New Jersey Supreme Court case from 1899 involving our church. Our church was founded in 1823 as the True Reformed Dutch Church of Paramus, and its original building was in Waldwick in a house. I'll skip over the next 75 years of history to 1898, when Reverend Harvey Eiserman was a pastor of our church and we were affiliated with the Holland Reformed Church. We belonged to the Classis of Hackensack. A classis is a type of presbytery or governing body of a Reformed church. You can think of it as similar to how we currently belong to the Presbytery of the Palisades. There was some tension between our church and the classes, as the classes refused to seat 2 delegates from our church since they belonged to secret societies. While it was true that the 2 men belonged to the Freemasons and Oddfellows, one of the delegates had already been a delegate there before, and besides that, most men at the time did belong to a secret society, the way that most of us today belong to a gym. In April of 1898, a question was brought up to the session and some members of the congregation to whether they would consider a federation with the Presbyterian Church. That question was logged in the minutes and read by the members of the classes of Hackensack, who virtually cut our church off. This proved difficult, as Reverend Iserman was president of the classes and the minister of our church. After many letters back and forth between the classes and church, Reverend Iserman resigned as president of the classes and sent the request to be dismissed from the classes of Hackensack and to join the Presbytery of Jersey City. The classes refused the request and instead sent someone to see about our property. According to law, when a church leaves one denomination for another, its real property remains in the possession of the original denomination. However, our church had elected trustees for the property long before, and the deeds to the property belonged to deceased members and their descendants. While I did not read the entire book, I did read some witty cross-examination and the jury's final verdict. While the ecclesiastic law states that the property belonged to the classes, all law must remain within state laws, which proved that the property belonged to persons, not an entity. The jury only took a few minutes to deliberate and come back with a verdict in our church's favor. Our church won a Supreme Court case. And now our musical offering, Amazing Grace, My Chains Are Gone. Our hymns are streamed and printed with permission under CCLI license number 11548134. This concludes our pre-worship moments, a worship and arts experience. We hope you enjoyed it.